Welcome 8th grade students to Life Science Turbo Review Part 2. This is Mr. Rafferty. You should be at the top of page 13 for this next section. Organisms have cells and are specialized and organized. Multicelled organisms, like plants and animals, have different kinds of cells that each do their own job. So if you think about it, we're going to start with a organism that's quite complex, the human, and we'll work our way through levels of organization. So if we take a human and we're to look at the parts of the human, we might go next to the organ system. Organ systems are made up of many different kinds of organs, and they're all working to do a job. Each one has its specific job. They're working together with the organ system. All the organ systems work together to make the organism fully functional. Organs are made of specialized cells called tissues. Within a tissue, all the cells are the same, but there are different tissues that make up the organ. Finally, if we take the tissue and look at the most fundamental unit of life, we come to the cell. So tissues are made of cells. So here's our specific example. Humans are clearly complex organisms. In this picture, you see represented different systems that make us alive. Respiratory, digestive, you can see the brain, part of the nervous system, skeletal system. Our heart is part of the muscular system and also part of the circulatory system. Now, if you take the human and look at one of the systems, in this case the nervous system, you can see that it's made up of different parts. For example, the brain. The brain is an organ within the nervous system. As you look at this picture, you can see the brain has its own different parts, and they're made up of different types of cells that are called tissues. If you look at nerve tissue, you'll see that within that tissue, all the cells are basically the same. Here we're looking at neurons inside the brain. And there's a complex of neurons all working together, and that would be called a tissue, all one kind of cell. Finally, we look at just one neuron, one cell, that makes up the tissue, and that cell is by itself a living thing. That's the most fundamental unit of life. Now, for some of you, you might be a little bit more like me, where you can think of this in the reverse order, starting with a single cell, working up to a tissue, which is many of those cells all working together, then going to an organ, which are different types of tissues working together, and then to an organ system, which are different organs working together. So in this case, the nervous system, you'd have the brain, spinal cord, peripheral nerves, and then finally, numerous systems working together to form the organism. Body systems interact with each other. They're not in isolation. They all work together to make the organism function. Here's a challenge for you. Try to place the name of the body system in the correct blanks. So you're going to want to pause your device right now and take a moment to study the function and the parts, look for clues, and with a pencil or erasable pen, you can write in the name of the system, and then you'll get the correct answers after you're done, and you can see how well you did and make changes. So pause now. All right, resuming, here are the answers. The nervous system, the boss of the body. includes the brain, nerves, and senses. Circulatory system is circulating blood. So circulation means that it's completing a circle or a circuit, and it's going around the body, bringing oxygen and nutrients to all your cells. Respiratory system, your lungs, trachea, and bronchi, are bringing oxygen into the body and getting rid of carbon dioxide waste. Digestive system breaks down food so small that the cells can use it. Includes the mouth, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and various other organs that are called accessory organs that contribute to your digestion, such as the liver and pancreas and things like that. Then you have the excretory system, which removes waste from the blood. So we're talking liquid waste here, and that would be the kidneys and the bladder. Integumentary system is the skin, hair, and fingernails, and that helps protect you. It covers your body with a layer of dead cells so you don't get infections. It also protects your fingers with the fingernails. And hair is an extension of your integumentary system. It grows out of those cells, and so it's included in the integumentary system. Organisms inherit traits from their parents. In this picture, you can see the breakdown. We have a cell with a nucleus, so it's a eukaryotic cell, and you can see inside of it the chromosomes. And the chromosomes are basically bundles of very long strands of DNA, and then the DNA can be broken into segments called genes. Each gene is what your cells use to produce proteins, different types of proteins, and those all work to give you the traits that you have, so inherited traits. Cells have genes. Genes contain information about an organism. Each gene contains DNA, and that determine traits. Each cell contains a copy of the genes.
Your genes come from your parents, of course, and from their parents, and from their parents' parents, and, well, you get the idea. You have 2 sets of 23 chromosomes, 1 set from each parent. For almost every chromosome you inherit from your mother, you also inherit one from your father that has his versions of the same genes. Together, they form a pair of homologous chromosomes. The X and Y chromosomes, however, are special. Usually, females have 2 X chromosomes, while males have an X and a Y. You get one of your X chromosomes from your mother. Whether you get your father's X chromosome or his Y chromosome determines your sex. Most adult cells contain 2 sets of chromosomes, but sperm and egg cells have only 1 set of 23 chromosomes each. When the body forms sperm or egg cells, a cell divides and pairs of chromosomes separate. A random member of each pair moves into each new cell. This is why, when you were conceived, you obtained half of your mother's genes and half of your father's genes. But your siblings didn't necessarily get the same versions of your parents' genes that you did. unless you happen to be an identical twin. To form sperm or egg cells, your chromosomes double, like so. When the homologous pairs separate, sometimes they cross over and at seemingly random points exchange DNA. This is called genetic recombination. Because your genes get shuffled during recombination, the chromosomes you pass along to your children are not exactly the same as the ones you inherited from your parents. This makes it hard to use most of your chromosomes to trace your genealogy back very far. However, most of the Y chromosome is handed down from father to son entirely intact. Likewise, in humans, DNA in the mitochondria is passed down only from mother to child. For this reason, ancestry along your father's line or your mother's line is easier to trace using the Y chromosome or mitochondrial DNA. When sperm and egg cells join together at fertilization, they create a single cell with two complete sets of 23 chromosomes, one set from your mother and one from your father. This single cell will divide to create new cells over and over until it creates a child.
Well, that's the end of part 2, and good luck on the MCAs, and hopefully when it's all done, you'll be